Shalom, Yasha Allah. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakwadash, the bonus of our apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushes the great gospel and believe in this gospel in sincerity and truth. This your brother Tasakai Yahweh
This is Brother Shakia.
from the great millstone to the Annapolis camp, coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing be edified. Got an article here from CNN.com, and it reads, Police and protesters clash in Paris after a fatal shooting at Kurdish Community Center. And this article came out December 24th, 2022, the year Yahweh Shai turn it up. And it reads, Paris CNN. Clashes between protesters and police have broken out in central Paris on Saturday as members of the local Kurdish community took to the streets to call for justice following Friday's deadly shooting at a Kurdish cultural center. Live images from CNN's affiliate BFM TV, as well as news agencies Reuters and AFP, show damaged streets and smoke rising from cars as demonstrators clash with police. The skirmishes, which are ongoing, are taking place in the area near Place de la Republique in the heart of the French capital. Not far from the Ahmet Kaya Kurdish Cultural Center, the site of Friday's shooting. CNN has reached out to the Paris Police Department and the Kurdish Community Center for comment. A gunman killed 3 people and injured 3 others in an attack with possible racist underpinnings at the Cultural Center on Rue Ingen in Central Paris Friday. All 3 victims who lost their lives were Kurds, the center's lawyer confirmed to CNN. A march in central Paris on Saturday, organized in the aftermath of the shooting, has been called off earlier than planned by the Kurdish Democratic Council in France due to the clashes. To avoid damages at the Place de la République and people getting injured, we, the CDKF, have put an end to the march. Spokesperson Bolivian Farad told BFM TV Saturday, adding that from now on, the group will no longer be held responsible for the actions of protesters. The march was originally scheduled to start at the Place de la République and had been authorized by the Paris Police Department. Things turned violent shortly after the march began, with police firing tear gas, Farad told BFM TV. Many protesters remain at Place de la République and Place de la Bastille, the scheduled endpoint of the march, even after the event was canceled. Clashes at Place de Bastille have since died down, with some cars turned upside down and burnt, according to live images from BFM TV. Paris Police Chief Laurent Nunez was scheduled to meet with leaders of the Kurdish community today at 10 a.m. local time at the request of French President Emmanuel Macron and Interior Minister Gerard Darmanin, Paris police said in a statement. On Friday, Darmanin said that France will ensure the rights of the Kurds who want to protest and vow to increase policing around Kurdish sites. We got one of those cars flipped over. They say the suspected attacker in Friday's attacks, a 69-year-old Frenchman with a long criminal record, has been arrested. He was not part of any far-right groups monitored by the police, Darmanin told journalists at the scene. He, the suspect, clearly wanted to take it out on foreigners, the minister added. Right, so say angry protesters face off with riot police in the wake of the shooting on Friday. Protesters from the Kurdish community voiced their concerns after the attack. Right, and then they say while the shooting has not been designated a terrorist attack, Paris prosecutor Laurie Becquois, said Friday that investigators are not ruling out possible racist motivations behind the shooting. When it comes to end racist motivation, of course, these elements are part of the investigation that was just launched. Becquois said, that's this. Say French President Macron on Twitter deplored the heinous attack where the Kurds of France have been targeted. Right, so what we say as it reads, this again, they say police and protesters clash in Paris after fatal shooting at Kurdish community centers. Right, and whereas people may see this as a horrific and horrendous things, all these things be tied to the prophecies of Yahweh Shemel Shai. There's going to be more, just like in the past the past years leading up until now. There's going to be more and more of a high ticket values of what, of protest or civil unrest, as the scriptures prophesied to happen. You got that second Esdras? Okay, so we'll go ahead and get right to these scriptures. Go ahead, bro.
Second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before.
So what it say is, well, as a matter of fact, Salakia, can you read jump up one verse? So it's right there. Second Esdras 8. The last verse of Second Esdras 8.
Second Esdras 8:63. Behold, O Lord.
Go ahead, bro.
Behold, O Lord, now hast thou showed me the multitude of the wonders which thou wilt begin to do in the last times. But at what time thou hast not showed me.
So these things, these wonders, ultimately these prophecies, these tokens that Yahweh Shemel Shai has showed Esdras, it says, which thou will begin to do in the last times, right? And right now we in those last days, the latter times, right? Because the last days started, during the time period when Yahweh Shai was crucified, but now we in the last days, the end of the end, so to speak. Right, but it say, at what time thou hast not shewed me. So like even Yahweh Shai said, nor the angels, nobody know, even he don't know the time when Yahweh Shai will bring the end. But they set up, they showed us through the Spirit, through the scriptures, that what these are the times, the signs that we need to measure during the times that we in to understand what time period that we in before the visitation of Yahweh Shai come to pass. Right, so then that's going to lead it to verse 1 again. Salakia.
Second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before.
Right, so those signs, when y'all see that the part of the signs past, it say measure thou the time diligently, but you need something to measure by. To measure the time. And how do you measure the time? You measure with those signs, which the scriptures speak about what? Being the prophecies of Yahweh Shemel Shai. So when they say, when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, go ahead.
Then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
So we understand that this is a visitation of Yahweh Shemel Shai, because he said he gave them to the times of what's going to happen, which Esdras didn't see it back then, but now we believe he here in the reincarnation, but the prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai have been risen up these last days, and now we have been given that the spiritual understanding that we are in those times. Now we say, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time. Now we understand these are the times that he was speaking of in these latter times, in these end times that we're living in, and it's being made manifest, because why? He is showing these signs, these famines, these pestilences, these uproars, wars, rumors of wars, all these conflicts, nation against nation, all these things are coming to pass. These are the signs that Yahweh Shemel Shai said he will send for us to be able to measure, to understand the time period that we are in. Right? So you can go ahead, bro.
Verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world.
Right, so when you start seeing these all these various earthquakes, like I said, I got an earthquake act. Man, earthquakes is going. I mean, they jumping off the Richter. Like no pun intended, but literally they jumping. The earthquakes is happening at almost dinner every minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes increments. No matter what the Richter is, from 0 point whatever to whatever the case may be, these earthquakes are at a high volume, just like these storms. They're at a higher volume than what they have been in previous times. That's why they always say, oh, this hurricane season was more devastating than last, and this tornado season was more devastating than last. Yes, we understand, because we in the end times. These are what? The visitation of Yahweh Shemel Shai, showing us, giving us those signs to understand that, hey, this visitation is right around the corner. Right? So it say when there's supposed to be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, these protests, that civil unrest, that is what? Uproars of the people in the world. Right? Why? Being what? Part of the Lord's prophecies. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
Right, so as we being taught these, through our spiritual fathers, Apostle Ellis O'Dell, as we being taught these things through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai, we understand them. But then when you start to see them real time with your own eyes. Now it said, then thou shalt well understand. Now, so you understood that first, but now you will understand it now. Now your understanding is a little deeper because now you're actually seeing that which you already believe in and what you're reading, and now it's coming to pass through the spirit of power Yahweh Shemel Shai. Now you understand it with a deeper understanding, so to speak. Right? That the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning, because why I say he declared the end of the world before the beginning. All these things were slated to come to pass, so they was all slated to happen. It's just what? We working on Yahweh Shemel Shai's time. We the actors. We the actors in his movie, he's producer. So we going on his time, not our own. And Lord, will we be of those actors who are what? Going to be those protagonists of the the elect of the nation of Israel to what? Receive salvation through all these perilous times that we're going to be entering to, with all these things that Yahweh Shemashah is going to bring to the earth within his visitation. Right? Because we understand that the main thing is coming. Yes, salvation is coming to the elect, but a majority of the rest of the world is going to receive what? Death and destruction. Right? Verse 5.
Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and end, and the end is manifest.
Well, because the main thing, that has a beginning and the end was what? Esau's rulership. It definitely had its beginning, but guess what? It also has its end. Just like all those other various previous empires. They had their beginning and they also had the end. But guess what? After they end, it was another nation that was up next. But after the end of Esau, as scriptures say, Esau's the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. They don't say after Jacob's world beginning, there's another rulership going to come after that. No. Like I said, after this eon, this uninterrupted rule by Esau Edom is done away with, we had never had to be under the rulership or be subjected or oppressed by another nation ever again. So, like they said, as this eon, this rulership has a beginning, it also has an end, and the end is manifest, showing you these signs and these tokens, showing that we drawing closer and closer to the end. And it's being made known that we are the end times. That's why people say, it's the end of the world, it's the end. Even though they saying that, they don't really have the true understanding. Because a lot of people may think, the end of the world, then everything will be blown into damn, a million pieces. No, it's the end of a rule. It's the end of an eon of a particular nation of people. Right? Yeah, it's going to go out with a bang, but it's not going to be the end-all, be-all of everything. Right? And it say, verse 6.
Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings in the effects and signs.
And we seeing all these things being come to pass. Those are part of the powerful works and the endings and the signs and effects. The visitation of the chariots, the chariots of Israel, the so-called UFOs, UAP, stuff like that. Those are part of the powerful works and effects. Like I said, pestilence is coming. Locusts being sent here. Rivers turning to blood. Rivers drying up. All these are part of the effects of Yahweh Shemashai is leading towards the end of this man's kingdom. Right? And this is what the elect are rooting for, praying for, and just having that unconditional faith, in Yahweh Shemashai to bring all these things to pass. Right? Yes, son?
I'm trying to find it.
Well.
No, we keep on going.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can jump to chapter 15.
16.
I want to, you said 16? Yeah, 16.
I was asking you.
Oh, chapter 15.
Chapter 15 and 16. Verse 16.
Matter of fact, we'll start at verse 1. Mm-hmm. And then we go down to 1 from verse 4. Then we go down there.
Okay.
Babu Shah.
Second Ezra 15 and 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy.
Right, and the people of Yahweh Shemashai are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And also the speckled bird who look like the heathens because they scattered amongst them via the curses because from our transgressions against Yahweh Shemashai, but they seed line go back to the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? It's to speak about the words of prophecy, meaning what to say before. So we speak the things right now that's going to happen in the future. So that's what it means to say before.